are back here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale. This is Prep Recruiting Insider, PRI, and I'm the coach of PRI, Rick Gailey, along with our insider, Renee Nadeau. And today we are joined by Scott Bairnsfather of Archbishop Shaw. Let me tell you something, Scott. One of the best parts of this job is that I get a chance to meet and spend time with so many people that were on the other sideline, or in your case, when you were playing on the field trying to beat us. And it's really such a pleasure to be able to see all the coaches, a great group of people. And I appreciate you being here today, because something I appreciate about you, you see things from a little different angle than a lot of other people.
I do, yeah. And I appreciate you guys inviting me over here. It's always good to get me out of class and take a few kids with me and, you know, travel around to the go-kart place.
Scott, Rick and I know you pretty well. 13 years at Shaw, 109 wins. But with you, you enjoy the development of the kids. It goes beyond the wins. What gives you a lot of enjoyment besides what you can see with the eye?
Well, I'll tell you what, honestly, after, you know, as you would know, you sit down and reflect on what you've done and over the past, you know, I started coaching as an assistant in 1987. So I'm up there in age as far as coaches go, and the thing I think that gives me the most out of my job is, like, Elliot's here, and you know, to see guys come back and you know, and thank the assistants and the head coaches for, you know, they feel like, look, coach, I'm a success because you worked me hard. You never let me get away with nothing. You kept me straight, and then when I got out of high school, it was easy after that. You know, I think that's what gives me the most joy out of my job. That, and, you know, you see a kid who comes in 8th grade, he's raw, you don't know what he's going to be like. You say, you know, in 4 years, if this guy's playing for me, we're going to be in real trouble. And then 4 years later, he's all district. You know, I mean, I think that's something that we as coaches take for granted sometimes, when you see really good players come in and then 4 years later they're really good. But it's the one that comes in that you don't think is going to be very good, and then he makes himself, you know, a great player in 4 years. Maybe not a college player, but a kid that every time he crosses the white lines for your team, you know what you're getting out of him, and you know you're getting a great game out of a kid who's going to give his all for his school.
Because that's something that's important, that as coaches we keep up our energy. It's such a trying job. I mean, there's no days off. You're going and going and going, and it's just what you're talking about, your relationship with your players, right, your coaches, your administration, even your students in the classroom. If you don't enjoy that, you're not going to have the energy to be a great football coach.
Absolutely. If you don't enjoy from 7:30 to 2:30, then you're not going to enjoy 2:30 to 5:30 at practice. You know, I really believe that classroom, the school day, you know, all that matters to coaches, because I think you get burnt out if you don't enjoy every bit of it along the way. Don't just say, I want to be a coach at 2:30. You know, that's easy to do. You know, go out there and have fun with the kids who want to play football. You know, 7:30 to 2:30, the other kids that come back and see you that never played it down for you, that appreciate what you did for them, and, you know, in the classes, and all of our coaches are like that. You know, we pride ourselves on doing a really good job in class, and not being just the football guys in the school, and being a part of everything in the school. And I think that helps us to get along and helps us not to burn out with just coaching. And because, you know, as a coach, there's not a phone call you getting during the year that's good news. You know, if somebody's calling your number, it's something, you know, somebody's hurting, or somebody's got to go to the doctor, or, you know, a kid failed a test he shouldn't have failed, or, you know, whatever. You know, it's not, nobody's calling you just to say hello during the football season.
We've had a lot of your comrades from the Catholic League on already, Scott, and, you know, they call the Catholic League the SEC West, and I don't think as a coach you'd want it any other way. You want your team challenged every week.
Yeah, you know, it's really, you know, it's something. I think this year, I think the first year, you know, Curtis comes in. Curtis happens to come into a year where the Catholic League's got a lot of good teams. Mm-hmm. You know, you sit around and look at saying, you know, this school would be the best team in that league. You know, this team's got 2 wins in our league. They would win that league, you know. And then it really is, I think this year, even as opposed to last year, I think it's the overall, the talent level, the coaching's always great. The talent level is really getting up there. The offenses, you know, that we have now, that, you know, you put up 400 yards a game and you're looking up at somebody. You know, whereas 10 years ago, you put up 400 yards in a game, you do a few cartwheels after the game's over with. You know, now you put up 400, they might have put up 440. You know, so I think that's a big difference now with the amount of talent that's on offense. And, you know, and then you got teams like Rumble and Curtis that can really play defense. and Jesuit as well can really play defense. And I think that, I think that'll cycle in and out, where kids are and where coaches are, and, the next good thing on offense, somebody will counter it on defense. And I think we're into that. We're getting into that right now. And I think the league's in great shape and it's very healthy. New with Curtis, and I think they've brought a little bit more energy into the league, because, you don't have a week off. Once you hit that week 4, that you can't schedule an easy game. You can't do it.
That's absolutely right, and I absolutely agree with you. Not only the Catholic League, but the whole city of New Orleans. This is the second golden age, the next golden age of prep football in this area. There's a lot of good teams in the area.
There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good coaches in the city, and as we see in the NFL level and college level, and you guys with your show and talking about the recruits from all the schools, there's a lot of around here. You can fill an NFL team around, with guys just coming from this class. As we have the kids from Walker in the NFL. We have kids from New Orleans that play in the NFL. When we were on our way here, one of our former players, Ryan Clark, was about to go on ESPN.
Right.
And he was a guy that we never thought would be that. I gave him a great piece of advice when he was coming out of LSU. Start coaching. Don't go play. And 12 years later, in $20 million in the bank, maybe that's why maybe that's why I'm still in high school coaching.
Scott, in the last couple of minutes, you've been to the big dance a couple of times. You have a senior-laden team. Why can this group go forward to the playoffs?
I think we can. It looks like we're going to be playing Jesuit in the first week of the playoffs, barring something crazy that happens this weekend. So, and it's a team that, we lost to in a regular season game, but we thought we could win. Mm-hmm. So I think that, once you win one and you stay healthy, if you win one, which is very important for us because we don't have the type of depth as some of the other teams have in our league right now. So, we getting guys banged up like everybody else, but we don't exactly have the same guys coming in. So that'll be a key for us. But I think that if you get that first win, then you get a little confidence, and then you play a team maybe that possibly hadn't seen you yet, which is hard for us in the playoffs now. But, maybe there's a couple that maybe, one of 3 that maybe hasn't seen us. So, then you hope for that. You hope that works itself out. And, if you play a team that doesn't know much about you, you got a chance, I think, in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Then a team that's seen you, knows you, has got 10 films of you already, right. Knows everything about every one of your kids, every one of your coaches. That's a tough thing to deal with a second go around. So we're certainly looking forward to next week, this weekend, and then next week starting the playoffs. Like I said, we think we may get Jesuit. That's, what everyone's thinking. So, we'll get on them on Sunday and see if we can come up with a plan to, win the game in the 4th.
And in the last 30 seconds, talk about your coaching staff. Won't you mention the coaches on your staff and the positions that they coach?
Yeah, my brother, who's been with me since I became head coach at Holy Cross in 1998. Brian Bairnsfather is the offensive line coach. Our receiver coach is Phil Alamia, who's actually, we were all 3 Shaw alums, and most everybody is a Shaw alum on my staff. He quit football when he was in high school, and then one of those kids that just kept in contact with me, and I hired, was a freshman coach for me, and then did a good job, and I hired him. You never know. Paul Hattie is a defensive line coach. Tommy Connors, your nephew, Renee, is our defensive coordinator, also played for me and was a great player. And Larry Schaff coaches our strong safeties and corners.
Well, thank you for being here today, Scott. It's always a pleasure to get a
thank
chance
you guys
to talk
for inviting
with you,
me.
Whether it's here or before the game.
I know. You always like to hear what I have to say, and I always like to hear what you have to say before a game.
That's right. It's always interesting, but we will keep that between ourselves. This is Prep Recruiting Insider. We're going to have some Shaw athletes coming up right after this time out here from NOLA Motorsports in Avondale. This is PRI.